Next up, we've got Travis Flora, and Travis, come on up here. Real fortunate to have Travis, and Travis, they may keep you up here an hour. Travis is actually going to do the consulting work. We might be sharing that. Travis had kind of thing that happened 4 years ago where I started Center Seeds. People would contact me and they'd ask questions, and I said, you know what, I think there's potential to do something with this. Travis had the same thing happen. He's very, very good at multi-species grazing and animal husbandry, and he's very good at being interactive. So as he shares what he has to share with you today, I encourage you, don't be afraid to ask him questions. Enjoy. He's excellent at the whole gamut. And thank you, Travis, for coming to be with us today.
I'm not really excellent at the whole gamut, but I can't tell you a lot of things you probably don't already know, but I guess my heart is I want to share. For me, it was a process to move into this, and so I spent a lot of time and money, and there was a lot of really colossal mistakes that I made getting into this. So if I can keep any of you guys from making some of the mistakes that I have or something, that's what I'm for. So this is a great meeting. I appreciate all you guys. And there's so many great ideas out there, and I love hearing them. In this industry, and I was like, I told Jeff, you know, he's not really selling a product, he's selling an idea. And an idea just grows and grows and grows. And so you might try something and hopefully make it better, and we'll learn what that is maybe next year. But we farm in central Indiana. We're a grain farm. We have corn, soybean, popcorn, wheat. And over the years we've raised, we started out raising commercial hogs, and then we went to pastured hogs, chickens, turkeys, ducks, a few geese, and rabbits. So I guess, first of all, what I'd like to say is I'm assuming that most of you here are farmers. As farmers, the first thing you need to realize, you know, before you get into this, you've got to completely change your attitude. And that was the hardest thing for me. In commercial agriculture, you know, we're used to raising a product. And, you know, to be honest with you, anymore, I think farmers are pretty good at doing what they're doing. But we're used to taking our grain to the elevator and them telling us, well, we're going to dodge you so much for it. We think, well, the truck's already here. We're going to dump it. Okay, take your hat off and give it to them. And, you know, so we get the mentality that we're not really anything special. We're growing a commodity. We're growing something that we don't really deserve to get paid more for it. And when you get into this, you need to realize you're growing something special. And there are people that will pay you to do a good job. And, you know, it's kind of like, I remember back when I was younger and I started dating a few girls, my dad told me, he said, well, you got to be okay with who you are before you're ready to find someone else. And I'll just tell you that in this industry, you have to be okay with being a farmer, being proud to be a farmer, and growing a product that's good before you go out and try and market it to these other people. Because these people that you're going to be selling this stuff to, they're used to paying a good price for good food, and they want to pay for good food. So that's one thing that I had to overcome. I started out in pastured stuff in 2003. We got out at hogs in '99, and so I decided that, you know, I wanted to get into pastured stuff. I really didn't know anything about it. I read about red wattle hogs, and I read that they did really good on pastured stuff. So I got on the internet, and anytime that I seen red wattle hogs for sale on Craigslist, I called and I bought them, and I traveled all over the country for about 4 years, and I picked up herds of red wattle hogs, and I put them together. And at that time, there was a lot of people that, I'm going to call them tree huggers, that wanted to raise pastured stuff, and there was no science behind what they did. So what they would do is they would buy these hogs off of someone, and they would put them on grass. And usually by the time I got them, they were about dead. I mean, they were thin, they looked terrible, and the people would say, you know, I mean, we believe in this, but it's not working for us. And it wasn't. I mean, it was bad. And so I had all the answers. I was going to show them you could do it. So I got all these sows and gilts, and over time I started breeding them, and a gilt would have 2 pigs, and another one would have 5 pigs. And I was like, man, I'm starving. I'm starving to death. I'm not making any money. And what I forgot is that when you go back 100 years, there wasn't the consistency in genetics that we have today. We take it for granted that you can get almost any gilt, but she's going to have at least 8 pigs. And it's not that way. When you get into those older breeds, don't assume that the person's going to sell you a gilt that's going to lay down and have 8 pigs, because that's not true. They won't. They vary widely. So that's one thing that I've learned. If you're going to move into that kind of a system, the best thing you can do is either find somebody you can trust that has consistent pigs that you can feed out, or get you a nucleus of gilts, cull them hard. I mean, if there's anything you don't like, cut their head off. Just get it down to where they have their pigs. They're not susceptible to parasites very quick. They grow good. That's another thing you'll find in heritage breed pigs. You might have 2 sows that look about the same, have the same number of pigs, and this one's pigs will grow half as fast as what the other ones will. There's just a lot of variables. And so once you find that, there's value in crossing them up with another breed. I started out with red wattles, and like I say, I went through that cycle for a while, and I made some colossal mistakes, and I got where I got so burned out on it. I sold them all, and I got out for about 9 months, and then it kind of ate at me again, so I got back into it. And then I made some of the same mistakes again, but I got into the old spots and some of the others. But there's a lot of good breeds out there. I like to stay away from like the Oswald Island hogs, and some of those other hogs are a little harder to move around on pasture, the more wild type breeds. If you're going to be handling and like I use portable fence and move them around, get a cross or a breed that's easy for you to work with. Don't get something that's going to bite your leg off when you go out there and try and get her pigs, or just find something that works for you. I'm not a big fan of coons or all these pigs that are little. You don't want a little pig. You want a breed of pig that gets a big frame and grows fast. So anyway, the lady in the back, I think she has a wonderful program. She has some good breeding stock. I think that's a good place to start. I could have saved myself about 5 years if I would have met someone like that at that time, and I would have developed a better program rather than trying to put stuff together and call them and call them and call them. Because what you find out is that your grandpa was pretty smart, and figured out that over time that crossing things up and all that, you kind of start heading down the path that they ended up at. But it does take a heritage hog to graze. It just, like I said before, it does not work to graze a commercial pig. They don't gain. They just don't work in that system. So anyway, I've got a few pictures of kind of what we do, and anyway, we use all cover crops on our farm. We've been complete no-till and cover crops for 16 years. We haven't put any dry feed or hay on for 16 years. We use our cover crops for 100% of our potash and phosphorus. We've cut our nitrogen use in half. I'd like to eliminate it completely, but I'm not to that point yet. But I hope in time that we can get it down to where we don't put much on, and I think we will. All right. So that there's just a red wattle pig, but like what we had when we started out. What's that? Yeah. Yep. Then there's some old spots. That's kind of what it looks like when we farrow. We bring them into a three-sided building. We only farrow twice, our sows farrow twice a year. They farrow in pens of 6. They're deep bedded in corn stalks or rotten hay bales, straw, whatever. And they go in there and they nest. And just kind of do their thing, and in time, there's moms feeding other ones pigs or whatever. They just seem that they thrive in those situations. But there's a lot of beauty in letting a pig make its nest. And the commercial pig, they just don't make a nest.
Okay. Do you have much problem with predator with the little pigs out there where you're outside like that?
I have a dog in with them most of the time.
Okay.
But we don't have any trouble with coyotes, but we're starting to get eagles, and they're fast. And I haven't ever lost one, but they do fly all the time, and I worry. I don't know what the outcome will be of that.
Okay.
I've been told they can pick up a pretty good sized lamb a pig.
Okay.
So I don't know. I know they watch them though.
Yeah.
They do. But that there's about the size. We'll kick them out outside. That they're outside. We use a portable electric fence from Flora fencing in Iowa, and our pigs are grazing on a sewer rye, peas, rapeseed, and radish mix. And we move that fence around about every 3 or 4 days. I use a dog to move them, and the pigs get to the point that the dog doesn't have to round them up. Pigs are pretty smart, and they realize when they see that dog coming, that a dog means better things. And I would highly recommend getting a dog at some point. The dog is a constant in their life, and they know that a dog means food. They know that a dog means it's going to be better where they're going, where they're at. Most of my dogs, I can take and walk them across the farm with no fence. If the dog's right there, and they'll follow a dog. And usually your little pigs will follow the sows. We run sheep through, raise Katahdin sheep, and cross them with hams. And the pigs come through behind, and they root up the radishes and eat the rape. Usually after the first grazing, the peas are gone, and they don't come back. There's one of my little spot boars, call him Big Guy. There's my son. But they love that mix. They grow really fast on it in the summertime when it thrives. It's fun to see. Hear them crunching out there. They love it. But what you'll find is after, we'll graze it 3 times, 3 rotations, and your second and third rotation, you'll get mostly rape will come back. Your sewer rye, a little bit of it will. Some of your radishes will. But rape's it's just tough, And you can have one root in the ground and the rest of it rooted up, and it's still going to grow. It's like, it doesn't phase it. I think it's perfect for pigs. So, you guys will try a lot of different stuff, and you'll come up with better mixes that work for you. But if you want something to start from, I'd recommend 5 pounds of rape is a nice place to start, especially $5. Yep.
How long would it take for them to clean that off there?
4 days. Yep.
Talk about that. How big an area are you doing when you haul on that for 4 days?
That there is 3 150-foot sections of fence in a square. Yep. We don't give too many shots to our pigs. I'm not against giving them shots, but they don't get sick a lot. But we do warm our sows, and that's important. Especially when you get back to them again. Here, I want you to notice something. This is the last pass of the year. These pigs going through. And you'll see the seed pods on the radish. The last time we'll let that mix go to seed, and we'll let those pigs eat that, and then we'll let them root it up, and they'll plant that for the next year. So the next spring, in an area that's been fed like that, we'll just go through there and put some peas in with it, and then the rest of it, it'll reseed itself. I like to do that mainly because I don't like buying seed off of Jeff. I don't have to do it. But they do, they root a lot. You'll see a lot of earthworms and stuff where they do that too. It's amazing to the soil. One market that's getting bigger all the time, a pig that size right there is still considered a suckling pig, and there's a lot of restaurants that'll pay $120 for a suckling pig out of a heritage hog. So if you're looking for markets, that's one thing to look at that you may not think of is a high-end restaurant. You got less time feeding a pig like that. I'm not saying that you want to feed all of them that way, but and also I want to caution you a little bit. People say, well, I get this much a pound for my hogs, and people do, but you may not get that for all of them. So you need to be looking for other places to market your hogs when that group of people or whatever may not be ready for all of them. And one great place to start is people that have a hog roasting business. They love heritage hogs because they have more back fat around them. And it roasts really nice, and the meat will be a darker red. You guys have probably seen heritage hogs. But it stays together, and it's not the mushy, cushion meat. So it's ideal if you're going to have a hog roast. They work really, really well for that, and those people will pay a premium for those hogs. They might not always pay $3 a pound, but they will make it worth your while.
How big are the suckling pigs?
A suckling pig is going to be about anywhere from, I would say, 15 to 35 pounds.
You'll sell them at that?
Yeah. But that seems to be getting kind of popular.
What do the restaurants do with that?
They just take the whole pig and they gut it and they roast the whole thing, and the meat is kind of all. It's like a mini hog roast is what it is. And the meat's real sweet.
5 pounds?
Yep. Yep.
Travis, how long a rotation are these? How long you let the ground rest?
It varies on what the moisture is.
Can you repeat that question? I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, he wonders how long to let the ground rest. It varies. I would say most of the time it's probably 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah. And it depends a little bit too how hard we want to push them. Like if we get to an area where we're getting behind and stuff's starting to go to seed, like radishes, if it gets hot, they want to bolt, So we'll go ahead and we won't graze it down quite as far. We'll speed up our rotation a little bit just to keep it from going to seed, and then we'll come back and clean up some of that later.
And you also mentioned like they like to root.
Yep.
So does that create a longer resting period later in the season?
Yes. Yeah, you can go through it pretty quick now. Right there, that would be that'd be about when they're ready to move. I mean, they work it up pretty good. There's actually probably about 30% of the radishes are still under the ground, and they'll go ahead and blow the tops out right there, and they'll come back again. Okay, that there is a picture of radish when it's ready to go to seed. Go ahead and do the next one. I went down to Florida, toured some places with the Florida Wheat Sheep Alliance, and they're kind of getting into radishes. That there has about 25% protein, and they have trouble down there. Their grass grows really fast, but it has no nutrition in it, so they're starting to graze some radishes. But if you got an area that is sandy and you have trouble getting stuff to grow, like I have some guys that's running some river bottoms, radishes are fairly forgiving in those places, and it seems like you can get a few more pounds of forage in those areas where you might not get some other stuff to grow. There's a picture of grape. I love that stuff. That's on the second time around when the pigs will just be coming back in. You can see it. Up there's the roots. There's where the pigs, they'll root around and stuff, and they'll leave some of them they'll take them out. And they kind of mix it up, and it kind of looks like salad bars when they're done. But anything they leave behind, the worms will come up and start working on that stuff. I've talked to several people here. Yeah,
Do you ever mow down what's left over after you move them?
no. He was wondering if we ever mow down what's left after we move them. We don't, I take that back. There's times that we'll put sheep in there and let them clean it off, maybe a little bit, but we usually just leave it be. Yeah, they are.
How do you get that back into shape? Or are we going to do something to it to get that back so we can go over?
It'll just kind of go back together. Yeah, I'll have a picture of it on here. Yeah.
When you release the sow with the piglets,
Yep.
I take it they're still nursing?
Yep.
They're nursing out in the pasture. In this situation, do they wean sooner or do they wean later, or is that even a...
They'll wean a lot sooner. The pigs get to the point that little guys, they like the green stuff. Yep. Yep, they do. Right there is, that's after about 2 inches of rain, a week after they would have been in there. And it just kind of levels out. You don't really want to walk through it, because I mean, go down. Yeah, I did kind of lie. That is totally. Right there, that's about 10 days after the pigs are on. And you can kind of see that there's 2 weeks. There's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks. But it grows fast.
You didn't add any extra seed to that.
Nope. Nope. And right there, that's about 5 years. There's my pickup pattern. Yeah, I just love rape. It's so pretty and it grows so fast. We raise sheep too. That there actually is a breeding sheep that we got a few of. We messed around with them for a little while. We tried breeding them with our catods. We thought we'd make them super milkers, but that wasn't a real great idea. Anyway, we're running outside. I really like the catod breeds. They're, for the most part, they're parasite resistant. You don't have to trim their hooves for the most part. And they'll have their lambs on their own. That there's a field, and this is just one thing we tried. We took where we planted wheat, and then we planted milo in 30-inch rows. And you can see there's volunteer wheat come up with it, but that worked really well. The ewes eat the milo and the volunteers wheat all winter. We lamb outside. We'll bring them in if it's real cold when they're having their lambs, but for the most part, we like them to stay outside. There's my dog Jack, who's my hired man. But I'd recommend getting a dog if you're going to raise very many sheep. But one thing that you'll find on sheep is, for the most part, I don't know, how many of you guys raise sheep? Very many of you? Most part in North America, we pretty well run sheep. I mean, it's a nightmare. In New Zealand, a lot of people go on vacation when they're lambing and they have a hired man. Hired man will take care of about 1,500 ewes. And anybody that raises 4-H sheep will tell you if you have 15 ewes, you got need 2 people there to assist with the lambing and some with milk. And so wool sheep as a whole are not a good place to start, in my opinion. It just depends on the breed. Catodans are several different breeds put together, and I'm not saying that they're perfect, but they are a good breed to start with. You don't have to shear them, but if you start out with 10, keep calling them every time you breed them, and call them and get it to where they'll lamb on their own. That is paramount. You do not want to spend your whole time lambing. It's a nightmare. But that is a big deal. That's a real big deal. And also, just as they get wormy, as you get some that get skinny or whatever, don't breed them again. Send them to the sale barn. Let somebody else mess with them. There's just too much interbreeding in sheep. But we have found we do like to cross a hand buck with hair sheep. It adds frame, and it seems like they do real faster. I'm sure there's other breeds like the Texel. I know some people that cross those with hair sheep, but they seem to work pretty good. Right there's a freebie. They're ever grazing off our waterways. Every so often we'll just take our sheep and walk them around the farm, and we use them. We don't do much of our waterways. Usually the sheep graze off, and the dog will stay there with them until it's time to move them again, and go back down there, move them a little bit. And there's a donkey. We use some donkeys for protection with the dogs. If you get a donkey to raise with sheep, it's best if you can get one that grew up with sheep or goats when it was little. And I'll show you why. There's like the bottom. That right there is the reason. They'll kill your sheep. If they get up close to them, not only kill dogs, but they'll bite your sheep. We learned that the hard way. We could figure out why our sheep was dying, but no one was eating them, and then we said, like the donkey was eating them. But that is a big deal. I mean, it's tempting because you can go to a sale barn and sometimes you get a donkey for $30, $50. You think, well, I mean, that's cheap, but that's not. You got to be careful. Llama isn't always the best. They get a brain worm, and it seems like when they're around sheep, they get that a lot faster. And so I've lost a few llamas to that, and it's not a fan. It's just you can't beat a dog. A Pyrenees or Anatolian, but make sure it grew up with sheep. It has to grow up with sheep, or it'll kill.
What are you doing for water for all your animals?
Yep. Those there, we're just moving around with a water trough. One thing that is cool, when they eat cover crops, grass does have a lot more moisture in them than what grass does, and so they won't drink there as much as what you think. That there is after the sheep went through. That's some of the ground that we graze that on for 3 days. They bring the pigs in there, and the pigs, they'll knock off the radishes that are sticking up. And then the ones that aren't, they'll miss them and they'll come back. There's just a field of brassicas out in front of our house. That right there is a field of canola. We raise some canola, and I graze it off a little bit in the fall. You don't want to graze it off too much. You want it to be able to come back. There's one of our lambs in the fall just hanging outside. That's the key. You want to have good views. In the wintertime when it's cold, we'll take them and bring them in and let them bond. That's a big deal. If you have views that try and steal lambs away, don't think that that's a habit you'll break. Sell them, get rid of them. A lot of those, they'll starve right away. And that's especially key if you're on pasture and there's more space. They're more likely you'll get views that'll try and steal a lamb. So watch that really, really close. That's just another picture of them. But that's one thing I do like about the Catawba breeds. I mean, they're really, really independent. Anybody have anything on that stuff? Yeah.
Do you have to provide any type of shade or anything for the hogs or the sheep when it gets really hot in the summertime?
Nope.
Can you repeat that?
No, I just wondering if we give them any kind of shade, and no, we don't. The hogs sometimes will take, and if it's super hot, we'll make a waller for them out there. Just put some water out and let them lay in. But the sheep will keep cool. That's the cool thing about a hair sheep. Their hairs are hollow, and so not only does air go up in there and warm them up in the wintertime, but it cools them in the summertime. So they'll do that. They won't eat a whole lot until late. There's some sunflowers that we raise. There's after a tornado went through them, but sunflowers, that market is about to get really, really big. APM, they have a lot of markets in the east, and I'm actually going to meet with them next week. But they're moving that market this way. Actually, the sunflowers have a lot higher oil content that's raised in the Midwest, and they do really well. So keep your eyes open for that. I think there's going to be some opportunity for it. We just grow it for diesel fuel out of them, and then we feed the meal to our poultry and stuff for supplement. But that does work really well.
Travis, something you said last time, was my elaborating, you can raise that after a while.
Yes, sunflowers, you can raise them after a week. They'll make about 1.5 tons to the acre. But if you got some fallow ground, that's something to try. They do make awesome feed. They raise the zinc level in your soil tremendously. And you will grow awesome corn after you've had sunflowers. It just seems like we've got, sounding like Jeff was saying, we raise a lot of grasses in monoculture and legumes, and our soils are starved for any kind of brassica or anything like that. It just seems like corn, it does really well after that. Yeah.
How many pounds do you plant per acre for sunflower?
Sunflower, we plant them at 22,000 seeds per acre. And if you're using like precision planting, popcorn plate works the best. On some of the others, you'll get a double. And anywhere you get a double with sunflowers, you get any kind of a wind, they're spindly, and they'll fall over and knock the next guy over, and the next guy over, and the next guy over. So that's one thing you want to watch. About 22,000 works good because you get a small enough head that the wind won't blow it over, but yet it's still big enough you're getting enough seeds through there. Yeah. We just plant Pioneer sunflowers.
Travis,
Yeah.
have you planted CMR?
No, I never have. Nope. I'd like to learn about that though.
What's
Well,
what?
Yeah, he's wondering about if there is any DMR sunflowers. I have never done that.
We had, I made a comment, we were talking about lake management. Even though I'm from central Kansas, we made a cocktail, we planted,
Come on, Joe. He has to be in here, Travis.
I had to come up. We took wheat off, and then I think it was about 4th, 5th of July, we planted a cocktail with the intentions of harvesting the flowers. But in that cocktail, we had some, we had buckwheat, cowpeas, we had some guar, we had mustards, grape, some clovers, and the flowers. I wish I had a couple photos of it. But it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And we ended up harvesting. Keep in mind, we're in a middle of Kansas, lots of wind, lots of hot wind. We did harvest, I think, our best field was 1,400 pounds. I think on all of it, it ended up at about 1,150 pounds. Still needs money. But we got the opportunity to have that cocktail out there and revenued it. And we didn't graze it, but it would have been great to graze. But the wildlife loved it. My gosh, we've got so many quail running around out there now, it's unbelievable. And so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to add some other things into the mix. But I think we're wanting to know more about the BMR flowers and maybe another market there that we can grow instead of the wall-seed flowers. We have, our flower market has to go to Goodman, Kansas, which is a long ways off from where I live. So there's quite a bit of trucking involved and not a real good market. So something we tried anyway, and it worked.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. We found too that it seems like if we top dress our wheat with clover, that the sunflowers actually they respond pretty favorably to the nitrogen from the clover, just no-tilling into them, and it really don't seem to have an adverse effect on the sunflowers. So I've actually, you want to be careful that you don't graze it too hard, but you can graze sheep and sunflowers and let them eat some of the leaves off and eat the clover in the rows and pull them out. And the sunflowers will dry down quicker in the fall. Yeah,
What's a BMR sunflower, I guess? Just a question.
you better explain that. You
Well,
can
it's-
explain that.
Repeat the question.
It's just, it's an open,
No, just repeat the question.
what is a BMR sunflower? BMR, well, it's an open pollinated flower. It's really palatable and very, very, the grazers love it. Same with BMR corn. we've got guys out there now planting double crop BMR corn after wheat, just for grazing, all with other things. I might add too, we put grain sorghum into that crop this last summer that we had the year before with this cocktail with the flowers. And we had grain sorghum this year in the 135 to 140 bushel range, and we were really, really dry. There was lots of mile that only made 50, 60 bushel. Another thing while I'm talking about that, we did not have to spray our sunflowers for head moth. Because we had the blooming, we had the buckwheat, we had the mustard, something blooming after all the time, we had a lot of beneficial wasps. And normally, you got to spray the flowers because of the head moth, and we didn't. So that was another benefit of it. But the rotation in the grain sorghum, this year, there was a lot of sorghum, like I say, the 50, 60 bushel range that was till ground. Yes.
You don't know much about sunflowers. You just go in there and combine them then? I mean,
Well,
cover crop
okay.
mix.
What now do we harvest them? Not the right way. Now we're going to go ahead and get us a pan head. When we did it, we just used a 35-foot draper with it, and we threw out quite a few heads.
But you just cut above the other stuff.
Yeah. We had a few of the cowpeas that actually growed all the way up and wrapped around the head. And then when you use a draper with the pickup fingers, that's just another thing for to pick that head up and flip it out. So we did feed a lot of critters on the ground with full heads of sunflowers. We threw over a good 10% at least, but we didn't, we weren't going to make the investment in the head till we figured out whether this is going to work or not, Yes.
We raise sunflowers. We use a John Deere all crop head. It's the old soybean head. Use 30-inch rows. It's like a chopping head.
Oh, yeah. The guys that I know that's doing it has it's pans on it. Just take a regular header.
Yep.
And you put these pans on, takes the reel off, and it just goes like crazy, and it does a really good job. So.
The problem with those is you have to go fast.
Yeah, you got to go fast. So you got to have a John Deere, I guess, huh?
Since we're talking about that, but the sunflower meal after it's squeezed, it is awesome feed for chickens. I mean, it's high in a lot of nutrients, so you can actually get a pretty good premium for your eggs feeding that, and we've done that. But if you're feeding chickens, that's definitely a huge plus. Is any of you guys feeding pastured poultry? Yeah. I'll just talk a little bit about that. A few things that I've learned before we go on. But the first thing that I would probably do if I was getting into that, I'm not a fan of golden comets or these hybrid breeds. The old breeds do a lot better, like the black Australords, silver-laced Wyandottes. Just your older breeds, and just like the hogs and the sheep, there is value in saving back your own stuff. And so what I recommend is get a group of hens that lay consistent, that you like, that they're built the way you want them to be, and then incubate their eggs and just keep doing that. That's so much more consistent because there's so many hatcheries that actually don't hatch their own chicks. They have somebody else hatch them, and then they get them in. So just because you like somebody's certain breed of chick, the next time you order it, there's no guarantee that they're coming from that line or they're coming from that place. And so it varies a lot. But that's one thing we found. And the older breeds, they definitely forage a lot better. I mean, they forage way better. Just their instincts are better. They hold up in the winter better. But I really like them. Turkeys, I like heritage breed turkeys. They're tougher. They live longer. The hens do. Get some hens that you like and save them back. And then set them eggs under some silkies or cochins and hatch your own turkeys. Now, don't pay $5 or $10 for baby turkeys. That's ridiculous. Because if you're feeding out 1,000 of them, think what that saves you every time. And as far as breeds, I don't like blue slates. They seem to be really, really this heritage, you know, that goes way back, and supposedly even to the Pilgrims. I don't think they did. They don't. You know how turkeys are. If any of these raised turkeys, you know, if they're not eating at noon, they're going to be dead at 5 o'clock when you come in there. It's not a bad idea to put some baby chicks in with them. I know you read online and say don't do that. It does help. It shows the turkeys where to drink because they forget sometimes. And sometimes they forget where their food is, but it does help. I like bourbon reds. It's the very best breed, probably the toughest breed if you're going to raise them outside in big numbers. Is Narragansett turkeys. They're tough. They really, really are. And most of them, they won't have a lot of black feathers. They'll have a little bit of white going into the base of the feathers, so you won't get quite as many thin feathers that you'll see. But that's a really, really good, reliable breed, and they lay really well. So if you're wanting to continue doing what you're doing, that's an awesome breed to deal with.
If you do want to reproduce your hens, you said silver laced, would you want to do that one there, or which one was you saying on the breeds of hens?
On the breeds of
See if silver laced is what you kind of preferred on the older.
Yeah, he was asking what breeds you prefer to breed again and again on the breeds of hens, right?
Yeah, just keep multiplying.
Yeah, that's one of them that I really like. Probably my favorite breed is black Oscar lords, as far as what they lay and their foraging ability. That's a really, really good breed. But it seems like some of your other breeds, they'll lay really good if you supplement them with grain. But if you're wanting to get by without doing that, or very little of that, they just don't hold up. And I don't know why. I think part of it is they don't weigh a whole lot. They don't have a lot of meat to them, and they just, any little thing seems like they want to die. Yeah.
These chickens that you like to raise in cover crop, when you
Yep.
get a premium for, do you sell their eggs or do you just raise the chickens?
Yeah, so the eggs.
Question?
Yep.
Repeat the question, please.
Okay, he's wondering, can you get a premium for raising like high omega-3 eggs or whatever? And yeah, you can. You should get about $1. Whatever you're selling eggs for, you should get about $1 over what you're getting. And usually people will pay it. You know. Yeah.
Question on pigs. I put pigs, it looks like you're using electric net.
Yeah.
And I put them in electric net, but I have a problem with them shortening it out because they get dirt up over the bottom.
Oh, they rooted up over the ground wire?
Yeah, do you do anything special or?
Not really. How often do you move your pigs?
They're kind of in a little bit different situation.
Okay.
They're doing some composting for me as well, so it's more of a rooting thing.
Okay, yeah, did you hear that? She was wondering about the pigs rooting mud up over the electric wire and grounding it out or getting out. And if you leave them in there too long, they will do that. They want to move them. You get to move them. Yeah.
Going back to hogs, do you supplement them with any grain?
Just in the wintertime. He's wondering if we supplement the hogs with any grain. The ones that we feed out, no. The sows in the wintertime, we give them like some barley, oats, and mineral.
Okay. My other question was, and I don't know if you answered it, what do you do for water for the pigs? Same as the sheep?
Yeah. Water for the pigs is the same as the sheep. Yeah, they're just drinking out of cans.
Okay.
I would love to have a place that was all laid out with waters and everything, but I don't have that. Part of it is we don't always graze them in the same field every year, so I hate to lay all that out, you know, and then have to do that. Broilers. Does anybody raise pastured broilers? What breeds are you guys raising?
I switched to Freedom Ranger.
Okay, you're raising Freedom Rangers. You like it? How about you?
Tried the Freedom and the Cornish crosses.
You're raising Cornish crosses. That was my experience. I don't know if I did something wrong. I probably did, but I just cannot. I can't get the Freedom Rangers to put on weight fast enough for me.
It's about 2 weeks long to grow out.
Okay. Yeah. So I ended up going back to the others. But that's something I'd like to try a little bit more.
So what are you using now for broilers?
The Cornish cross.
Cornish.
Yeah, there's a French breed that you probably heard of. It's called Breeze, but that is a high-end chicken that I think is going to really take off. There's people paying $150 a bird for them.
What are they called?
Breeze, B-R-E-E-S-E. Green Fire Farms is the only one I know that says imported them from France. But they're a French bird, and they're real funny about their chickens. They don't want nobody to get them. And so this guy went over there. He's the only guy I know of that's been able to bring them in. But they're a chicken. They're a different color. I mean, you can get different ones. But they take a long time to feed out. I think typically they'll feed them like a year. And they'll butcher them and they leave the head on. Like that's typically how that bird would be presented. And part of the way you can tell what they are, they have blue feet. And they leave the feet on to show that's what they are. And then they, you can read about it online. It's a huge process they go through. They hang them and let the meat tenderize and whatever. But if you want to mess around with something and sell to some high-end restaurants, there are some high-end restaurants looking for that breed of bird. I do know that. But there's a way to feed it and a way to hang it, whatever. But that is something to look at. Ducks, blueberry ducks. I haven't had much luck on anything but Pekin ducks, feeding them out. They seem to grow the fastest, the white ones. And I like white Himbadan geese. There's some different holidays. There's some Syrian holidays, and some, if you live close to a city, you'll pay big money for a goose or a Christmas goose. You can make some really, really good money feeding out geese. It's not something you probably want 1,000 of them. Even if you had a market for them, I don't think you would. They're so loud. But you can really make some good money feeding out some geese. What's a goose worth? What's a goose worth? A Christmas goose, it should bring about $80. Yeah. You may get 100 out of it. Turkeys, like they were talking later, I mean, there's a lot of people that'll pay $100 for a heritage turkey. Put them on Craigslist, you know, you should get between 75 and $100 out of them, you know. So one time a year that grandpa gets to do something for the whole family, and he likes to say, I paid $100 for that turkey. That looks good. They say it tastes like crap, but no. But yeah, there's a stigma, and this is why I said what I did in the beginning. There's a stigma that we think, you know, we could probably sell this for 40 or $50. People don't want to pay 40 or $50 for a good turkey. They don't want to. They want to pay you 75 to $100 for a good turkey. It may not be worth that, but they want to pay you that because it's just a mental thing. And as farmers, that's one thing that we struggle with. Anyway. Rabbits, we feed out some rabbits. I get new females every year, and then we butcher all the females in the fall. I don't like to carry them through the winter. As you guys know, if you've ever raised rabbits, they're real susceptible to coccidia. Rabbits are kind of cool. You can graze them really easy. I had a bunch of pictures of it, and my phone dropped in the water, so I lost all of them. But there's my son's pet. I was like, you want to eat him? He's like, yeah. But Californians, they work the best in that system. You put them in pens, put slats in the bottom, make them about an inch tall. Rabbits, they pee and poop, you know, all the time, and they're not smart enough to figure out where to do that at and where they eat. But the key, if you're grazing them, and I know you're moving them, but that's their food, and it's very, very, very important. I've killed so many rabbits. The Humane Society probably follows me around, but they get coccidia really, really fast in this system, and so get them up off that. and move them. I mean, don't let them graze it down very far, just keep moving them. You should get between 12 and 15 bucks for a friar rabbit that you vet it out like that. Make sure they have salt. Very, very important. If you're grazing it, they have salt.
Is that butchered price?
No, that's live. Yep.
Tell them where you're selling that, it does make a difference.
Yeah, that's if they're going to restaurants or a place in Chicago. Yep.
How much was that?
12 to 15 bucks.
What weight?
That's for, I'd say 8 to 10 pounds. Yeah. And ironically, I mean, if you ever get out there, there's just a lot of old people that they like rabbit gravy and they'll buy them off of you. There's a lot of little ladies that give you a $20 bill and say, you know, they'll have you dress it out. I'll bet a day, but I don't think you want to put the whole farm in rabbits, but you want something for your kids to do it. You want to feed out 500 of them a year. One more item you can do in a small amount of space.
You strictly graze them? I mean, are you feeding anything except the graze?
No. That's a good point. He's wondering if we feed him anything else but that. Annual ryegrass and white clover is an awesome thing to plant. It's low, you know, and you get a lot of stuff, a lot of leaf area. So that's an awesome place, or awesome thing to plant in an area where you're going to graze. We actually had a barn lot that we got tired of mowing, and we just took and spread like Alice clover or white clover in there with it, and it takes. And that's a really good place to feed rabbits out. Yeah.
What's the name of your farm? Where do you grow all this at?
I'm in Flora, Indiana, in Carroll County. About 60 miles north of Indianapolis, 2 hours south of Chicago.
You bring your products?
Do I bring my products? No, I do
You plan
not.
on bringing them?
I'd like to someday, yeah. But we sell a lot of live animals. I don't have a lot of time to take it to the next step. And I'd definitely be interested in learning more about it. I just think one of the biggest mistakes I've made, you can see it, I mean, we grow a lot of different things, we have to grow a lot of different things. Don't try too many things when you first start out. That's one of the biggest things that I've seen people fail at. There are times that you'll get, if you're raising 5 different things, all 5 of them things will be sick at the same time, or there'll be some problem, and you don't always know what to do. It's a lot easier to fix 2 problems than it is 10 problems at one time. That's one thing I learned. If you want to be diverse and you want to sell to a lot of these markets, just start out slow and get good at what you do with each one as you do it.